You mentioned about having sort of your developers working fast and trying out all these different services potentially for different platforms, and also that your sort of developers and operations teams are sort of working together now. How do you make sure that together they're sort of building properly scalable, properly resilient systems to go into production?
We are good friends of the well-architected framework. That is something, again, that AWS gives us, and we have both an internal enterprise architecture team that audits all that creative stuff that is happening and properly governs it to make sure that both the business cases and the value is being created, but at the same time those things are done under strong engineering principles in terms of security, scalability, and so on. So we have an internal team that does that, but at the same time, we work with you guys periodically to do external audits to not just to our big projects, but also smaller projects. And that has been extremely successful.
So you mentioned well-architected, you mentioned serverless, you mentioned APIs, API gateway, you mentioned Alexa. So it seems that you're pretty well-versed when it comes to cloud. Speaking from your experience, what would you do differently when it comes to cloud journeys?
You look like you've got an answer.
No, I don't. What would we have done differently? I think started sooner.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think we started sooner. So my team was responsible for the first AWS infrastructure in the office, that with Weather Cloud, the Weather Cloud, which we now call Weather Cloud 1. Because we're replacing it, but that was supporting the app. And at the time, the Met Office was relatively mature in its cloud adoption strategy, and so we built something that was fairly vanilla. It was a replication of on-premise infrastructure. It took us quite some time after that to get into gear, and so that infrastructure has been up for probably longer than we would have liked. So personally, I think given a choice, we, organisationally speaking, seen the writing on the wall much more quickly and got into gear and got everybody aligned much more quickly, and perhaps we would have been even further ahead than we are now if we'd have done that. So I would say make the decision fast and get on with it was what I would have done differently.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice, and there's lots of reasons why different organisations can and can't make these decisions. It would have been nice for us to be able to really align how we were going to support these services from the beginning. There's been a shift from a much more traditional style of centralised support, slowly moving to a sort of more DevOps style. We're not there yet, that's still a journey. I think if you can make that decision right at the beginning, it makes your life a lot easier as you go through. So I think if I could somehow wave a magic wand and make that happen, that would be a thing. But culturally and organisationally, these things have to take time to get there.
Yeah.
So I think we're in a good place, but if we could have done that earlier, that would have been better.
Okay. Thank you very much for this amazing conversation. Definitely, I'm selling your application to everyone I know, and I hope that we will continue to ignore the complexity you guys have behind your website, behind your data, behind your informational services, because that's how government services should work. This was amazing. Thank you very much for joining us today.